Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Elmhurst City Council for Monday, October 7, 2024, and ask that you please rise and join me for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Tamer, please call the roll.
Park. Here. Nudera.
Here.
Vestito.
Here.
Nardini.
Here.
Brennan.
Here.
Irby.
Here.
Deuter.
Here.
Verimus.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Schenko.
Here.
Jensen.
Here.
Graham.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Toledo.
Here.
14 present, 0 absent.
14 present, 0 absent. We have a quorum. On to item 3 on our agenda is a special presentation. Although we are not directly dealing with this issue, I think it's one that's of public concern. I want to make sure that the council is aware of what our sister agency at the Park District is going to present to us tonight. So, Director Rogers, are you taking the lead? And Commissioner Graff is going to... President Graff, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Graff, President of the Elmhurst Park Board of Commissioners, and I'm glad to be here tonight on behalf of the board and would like to thank the mayor, the city manager, and the entire city council for providing us the opportunity to share our information about the Park District's referendum. On behalf of my fellow commissioners, I'm very pleased that we are giving the residents of Elmhurst the choice to fund the high priority projects identified by the community. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jim Rogers, our Executive Director, to present how we hope we can elevate Elmhurst Parks. Jim?
Thank you, Commissioner Graff. And again, I'd like to echo Commissioner Graff's comments and thank the City Council for having us out this evening. I'd like to start right off before we get into the presentation by being very clear that we are not here this evening seeking any sort of an endorsement from the City Council. We're here strictly to provide information. We've been getting out to every group and organization that we can in the community to share this exact same presentation and exact same information. And in fact, we're looking forward to being with the school board a week from tomorrow night as well and present the information there. So with that, why don't we jump in? As Commissioner Graff said, the Park Board has put together this opportunity to give the community a choice to fund a referendum on the November 5th ballot. Make sure I've got my clicker going. There we go. And the overview of the referendum, as I said, it's on the November 5th ballot. For a number of weeks now, I've been saying to folks that the upcoming election, but as we all well know, voting has started as of last week, so we're now currently in election season. This is a bond issuance. It is not a permanent tax increase. It is a 25-year bond proposed that is similar to previous school referendum that have been successful in this community, as well as the library's referendum in 2001. I'd also like to note that the funds from this referendum can only be used for the construction of the projects that I'll be speaking about tonight. The funds cannot be used for operational costs like salaries, utilities, that kind of thing, strictly for construction. This plan is based upon, is our Elevate Elmhurst Parks plan, and it's based upon a tremendous amount of community feedback that we received over the course of about 15-month period. We had ample engagement opportunities, both in person and online. We had some terrific online tools that folks were able to use, an interactive map where folks could go throughout the community and suggest, I'd like to see a new park here, or I'd like to see an improvement there. We also did a statistically significant random survey of the community to talk to them about their recreational wants and needs, and I'll speak about that a little bit more in a moment. What came out of that, the findings and the plan were kind of 4 major focuses of urgency. One is to address aging facilities that the Park District operates. The Elmhurst Park District operates about 2 dozen facilities in the community, the average age of which is about 50 to 60 years old. In addition, we're faced with overflowing demand, which I'll speak about a little bit more, but we have high program wait lists for our programs where we simply cannot accommodate all of the residents who want to participate. And then we have an issue of space versus need, and that being the fact that many of the buildings that the facilities that the Park District operates are buildings that were built for one purpose originally, and then over the years, the Park District has taken ownership of them, and we now operate them for recreational purposes, but that is not the actual reason why they were originally constructed, and so that creates a number of challenges for the district and the community as well. And then finally, funding. I'll talk a little bit later about why this is being proposed as a referendum, why, for example, doesn't the Park District just consider doing these projects without a referendum. So moving on then to the community, or moving forward to the community survey that I discussed, what came out of that were some top priorities that the community would like to see us focus on, and these are based on what the community told us was most important to them and what had the greatest amount of need. So it's kind of the combination of those, as I said, the importance and the unmet need. And what jumped out to the top from indoor facility priorities were things like an indoor running walking track, indoor gymnasium space, indoor turf fields, and indoor multipurpose rooms. And as we look at why those indoor facilities and priorities came out so heavily, it's in large part due to the Wagner Community Center as it exists today. The Wagner Community Center, for those of you who may not know, was originally a 1950s elementary school. It was Cornell Elementary School, operated that way for a few decades, and then was purchased in, I believe, 1984 by McCormick College, and they owned and operated it for about 20 years until 2004, at which point the Elmhurst Park District, and we converted it into a community center. It comes along with all the charm and features that you would expect from a 1950s elementary school, very much needed of updating. It has an institutional exterior and interior. We have significant space constraints, as I mentioned, and it's a 70-year-old school. That picture on the upper right hand there is, in fact, the current boiler system in the building. In addition, because it is an elementary school and not a community center, we have areas that are just completely deficient. Most among them are waiting areas, viewing spaces for families of participants in our programs. I was just up at the Wagner Center about an hour and a half ago, and I could have taken the picture of parents sitting in the halls today, as it's a daily occurrence there because we simply don't have enough space. Our front lobby area here shown at the front is overcrowded most every day with program participants and families coming in and out and folks trying to conduct business at our front desk. So what we're looking at primarily in the way to address the indoor recreation needs and really expand them to provide recreation for all year-round is reimagining the Wagner Community Center as a new facility. This new facility would feature a 3-lane indoor jogging walking track elevated above a gymnasium that would be free to all residents to be able to use. It would feature that gymnasium, as I mentioned, that would be available for sports such as pickleball, basketball, volleyball. It would also have an indoor artificial turf component for sports like soccer, football, and baseball. It would also provide larger spaces for our gymnastics, early childhood, and dance programs, which are many of the areas in which we have significant wait lists. And then would also provide multi-purpose spaces for our programming, but also for community gathering as well. Right now, we really are not able to accommodate community groups when they want to have a meeting space because we simply don't have the time in the facility available, nor is it really up to standards of what they would be looking for. Again, I spoke a little bit about the Wagner Center in its current condition, but as I said, a 1950s elementary school, and with that come a number of accessibility, safety, and efficiency issues. We did look at the notion of renovation and expansion, and actually I was at a presentation for the Edison PTA at the renovated Edison Elementary School just last week, and quite frankly, I hadn't been in that school. I've been in some of the others, but hadn't been in that school since it was renovated, and I was struck with it's just amazing, the updating and renovation that they've done at that school. And I was with one of our park commissioners, and we were walking from the front of the school back to the gymnasium, and we walked back past all these renovated, updated classrooms, which were just really, really fantastic. And I thought to myself, well, we could potentially look to do something like this at the Wagner Center. But the challenge is, if we did that, then what we would have is an updated elementary school. And what this community is telling us is that they would like to see us have a recreational center, a community center, not another elementary school. So we did look at renovation and expansion, and while there's it's possible to renovate, but it's not possible to make an elementary school a Park District community center. I spoke earlier about the demand for programs and services. As we were developing the Elmhurst Parks Plan, Elevate Elmhurst Parks Plan in 2023, the last full year of information we had was for the year 2022, and we had approximately 5,600 registrants who wanted to be in programs of ours that we simply had to turn away because we did not have enough programming space. So we would look very much forward to trying to be able to reduce that number significantly and then offer all sorts of programming opportunities with a gym and with turf and things like that that we simply can't even consider nowadays. This gives you an example of a view of what the reimagined Wagner Community Center would look like on the ground level as you would approach and walk into the building. I should mention that what we're talking about here is replacing the current Wagner Community Center where it sits right now. The current Wagner Center is about 32,000 square feet. This new facility would be a little more than 4 times that size. It would be 127,000 square feet on the same site. And here's how that site lays out. Again, situated in the same location as the Wagner Center right now. You'll notice the building as it moves from left to right or from west to east. Working with our architects, we've tried to be sensitive, or we have been sensitive, I should say, to the surrounding neighbors in putting the lower, lesser impactful parts of the building to the west, out more towards the neighbors, and having the bigger parts of the facility towards the back, so the gymnasium and the artificial turf are kind of towards the back of the site. That's backing up in the upper right-hand part of that, that image to the parking lots behind the auto dealerships on Lake Street. Yes, sir, Alderman.
Thanks so much. Is the difference in size incorporating the parking lot or just the actual building?
Just the actual building. That square footage is just the building. Thank you. And I do have slides of the floor plan of the building. I wasn't intending to necessarily go into detail on those. I have those at the end of the presentation if anyone has any specific questions, but did want to highlight a couple of the areas in the building that are most impactful and ones that the Park District doesn't have right now. And that would be, first, we would have a multi-sport gymnasium, a little over 27,000 square feet. It would provide basketball courts, pickleball courts, volleyball courts. We would have the drop-down netting dividers that you see in gyms to be able to make full use of it. We'd look at drop-down batting cages. In terms of a comparable size facility, this gym would be about the same size as the gym at the Oak Brook Park District's Community Center, for those of you who might have been there. And the walking track above it, comparably sized as well. The one at Oak Brook is 1/8 of a mile, and that's how big this elevated walking track would be as well. And then from the perspective of the indoor turf space, it would be a little under 25,000 square feet. It's a 60 by 40 yard field, a U9 field, or a 7v7. Again, for comps, those of you who might have been to other facilities in the area, this is the same size field that's at the Ackerman Center in Glen Ellen. So to give you an idea, if any of you have been there, that's what it's on course with. With both of these facilities and all the other spaces in the building, one sort of amenity of the facility that I didn't mention that we lack right now is appropriate seating and viewing areas in the different locations. So at the gym and the turf and the dance studios, in gymnastics, we would have appropriate seating and viewing so that parents could watch the programming. Again, now, elementary school, there's one door into the classroom and you can't see into the room otherwise. We do say with those viewing areas, though, of course, we would have the one-way glass so that parents could see in, but participants can't see out because that can tend to be very distracting, as you might imagine, for participants in programs. When we talk about why are we looking at indoor spaces and knowing that there are some call for some needs with our outdoor facilities, this is one of the things that we like to illustrate for the community is that the Elmhurst Park District operates 36 outdoor rectangular fields, football fields, lacrosse fields, soccer fields, 27 outdoor ball diamonds. We have no indoor turf fields, and we have 1 indoor basketball court, and we've only had that for the last couple of years since we bought the former Redeemer Center on St. Charles Road. So again, it's not to say that these other sports or these other types of amenities are unimportant. It's that when we surveyed the community and asked them about both importance and unmet need, the indoor spaces rose to the top more so because while there might be desires to do more with some of these outdoor facilities, they don't rise to the top as an unmet need because we do have dozens of these types of fields. Another thing I'd like to address, though, along those same lines is there are certainly other needs within the Park District that we would like to address. And This plan, in addition to building these new facilities, would enable us to address those as a long-term investment in the future, and that speaks to the notion of we would be replacing a 70-year-old deficient building, reducing the maintenance cost to operate that building, and then in turn, generating significantly additional revenues from program fees and charges and rentals that would take place at the new building that would pay not only to operate that building, but that would also generate dollars that we could reinvest into the park system as well and look at some of our outdoor park amenities. In addition to asking the community about indoor park amenities, we asked about outdoor amenities as well, and two things rose to the top there, those being park restroom buildings and an outdoor community bandshell or amphitheater. First, we're looking at putting in a permanent community bandshell in Wilder Park. Our historical records show us that one of the first recreational programs that the Elmhurst Park District ever offered was back in the 1940s in Wilder Park, and it was called Music Under the Stars. And so the Park District has been offering concerts and performances in Wilder Park literally for, what is that, 80 years, 80, 90 years, but never with a permanent bandshell. We've rented stages and brought them in. Some of you have been in the community longer will remember the Showmobile, which is a stage on a trailer that we back into the park, but never anything permanent, and the community is asking us to consider something like that. I'd like to show this map. I realize it's a lot of detail on the screen there, but I'll describe it. But also mention for the council and anyone watching online or listening online, city staff was nice enough to upload this presentation to Board Docs, so it's there as well. What this map shows is the location of where the bandshell would be. It's there in the kind of the center right there. The Wilder Mansion is to the left in this photo, and the lawn area out in front of the east lawn area out in front of the mansion. And so if you've ever been to Wilder Park for a movie in the park or a concert in the park, where you'd be sitting and what direction you'd be looking is the same as you have always done, so to speak. It'll just have the bandshell back there, tucked in the back there where we've had the rental stages and things. This is not proposed to be a facility where we would have any sort of permanent seating or tiered seating. It'll still be just a beautiful lush green lawn area. Bring your blanket, bring your lawn chairs, that type of experience. And then the number one park and recreation amenity that the community said they wanted above all others, so everything else I've shown you was less important and had less of an unmet need than more permanent restroom buildings, I kid you not. Number one amenity. We do have a number of outdoor restroom buildings in some of our parks, but we also have a lot of porta potties. The community said they would like to see us have more permanent year-round heated restroom buildings. So we're looking at providing those in 4 locations. One being up at the north end of town, up at Crestview Park, one at the south end of town at Eldridge Park, one in Wilder Park, and actually I'm going to jump back to the bandshell. The bandshell here, you'll notice those green rectangles, those are restrooms, so the idea would be that if we build the permanent bandshell, it would have the year-round restrooms as a part of the bandshell itself. And then finally, also looking at doing a restroom building along the Illinois Prairie Path. Again, we have a couple of locations along the Prairie Path where we have porta potties, but we don't have any permanent restrooms. In developing this plan, we've worked with a number of community organizations to get feedback and input, including a lot of the sports organizations. One in particular is the Elmhurst Running Club, and in working with the running club, we learned that there's an expression in the Elmhurst Running Club, and that is, if you have to use the restroom and you're running on the Prairie Path in Elmhurst, where do you go? And the answer is Villa Park. And we believe that shouldn't be the answer in this community. So we would look forward to having a permanent restroom building along the Prairie Path. The exact location for that has not been determined. That is intentional because I've joked with every group that we've given this presentation to that there are very strong feelings that it should be at Spring Road, and there are very strong feelings that it should be at Pioneer Park, and there are very strong feelings that it should be at York Road by Safety Town. And so what we've said is we want to first find out if the community wants to fund a restroom building there, and if they do, then we'll look at getting community feedback and determining the absolute right location. But we don't want the decision about that to get hung up about which location it is, because any permanent restroom building on the Prairie Path would be better than what's there today. And finally, the last outdoor amenity that we're looking at is converting one of the full-size natural grass soccer fields at Barron's Park to artificial turf. If you're not familiar with Barron's Park, we have 4 full-size soccer fields up there right now. 2 are artificial turf and 2 are natural grass. You might have noticed in the photos of the site plan that about 60% of one of the grass fields will be taken up by the parking lot that is necessary for this building. So in part to help mitigate for the impact of that, we're proposing to take the other natural grass field and turn it into artificial turf. Artificial turf, as you've seen in the various installations throughout this community, just buys a tremendous amount of additional play. You never have to worry about rainy days. In our climate nowadays, it's used virtually year-round, so it really buys a lot more time. So that's kind of the final outdoor recreational component that we're proposing. In terms of timing of the plans, this map here on the right, I should say, shows the locations. I would imagine most of you are familiar with where those are, but projects kind of spread throughout the community. And then in terms of timing of the projects, if the referendum is successful on November 5th, we would then spend a good portion of 2025 doing two things. One is getting into detailed architecture and engineering, particularly for the Wagner Center, but then also making plans to temporarily relocate our programming out of the Wagner Center, because again, building a new building in its place on that site. And in order to make that happen, what we would do is we would look at, first of all, maximizing use of any Park District facilities to the fullest extent we can, and then in addition, likely looking at renting facility space as well in the community. To give you an example of how this has been an ongoing challenge for the Park District literally for decades, many of you may not be aware that prior to about 1996, the Elmhurst Park District leased the Madison Elementary School building from School District 205, and that was the Wagner Community Center. Then in the mid to late 1990s, the school district needed it back, first for its administrative office and then for the early childhood center, so we had to move out of that school building. At that time, faced with a similar situation that we would be in now. And so what we did then, again, maximize the use of Park District facilities, but then also rented spaces. We rented some storefront retail space for some of our early childhood programming, and then we also rented warehouse space that we used for gymnastics and dance, and we would look to do something similar this time as well. And then it would be a 2-year period of time. We would move out in fall of 2025, and it would be a 2-year period of time to demolish the existing school building and build a new building and move back in fall of 2027. And then the other projects to the right of that timeline there, the band shell and restroom buildings and such, would take place along that same general time frame. In addition to meeting needs of the community, this would also be a historic milestone for the community and the Park District. The Elmhurst Park District has not gone to referendum since 1971. I believe that's 53, almost 54 years ago. This brochure, this photo on the right here, I should say, is a brochure from that referendum effort. At some time, if you're on board docs or something and you take a look, not only will you be struck by the just fantastic amount of projects and things, but the dollar figures are really interesting to look at as to what dollars were necessary to make some of those improvements back then. But again, as many of you who've been in the community know, since 1971, the public schools in this community school district has been to referendum 8 times, with 6 of them having been successful. Library went to referendum in 2001. And again, as I said, Park District hasn't gone since 1971. So then I'd like to jump into the financials just a little bit. This is not being proposed in any way, shape, or form because the Park District has any sort of financial difficulties. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The district is in excellent financial condition. We have a AA1 bond rating. We win win awards annually for both our budgets and our audits. And we're very proud to have secured millions of dollars in grants and donations for projects over the years. A couple that we're in the midst of right now. We just recently opened Pick Park, brand new park in the Pick subdivision. Half of that project was paid for with the state grant. And in addition, right now we are under construction, literally as we speak, at Canine Corner, which will be Elmhurst's first ever dog park. It's about a $2 million project, and we have a $250,000 grant from the state of Illinois to assist with that as well. Excuse me. The reason why this is being suggested as a referendum or proposed as a referendum is simply because the district is subject to something called a non-referendum bond limit, which means, and I tell folks in presentations that it's a good thing. It basically sets a limit. It's a good thing, I should say, for the taxpayers of the community because it sets a limit as to how much bond debt the park board can take on behalf of the residents. And so in a situation like this and the dollars that are necessary to build a community center like this, we simply literally do not have the ability to take on that much debt without going to referendum. And so that is why it is being proposed as such. And we'll talk about the dollars here in just a moment. But we're very pleased and proud to let the community know that if something like this were to happen, and actually even before it would happen, that quality preservation of open space, similar to schools, quality libraries, a quality downtown, protect property values. And we believe that, and we know that this would do the same. We believe it would enhance the overall economic health and vitality of the community, and we think it would make Elmhurst an even more attractive place to live, work, and play. Now I'd like to move on to kind of some of the nitty-gritty. This chart has a lot of information on it, a lot of bars on it, but what it highlights is these are the tax rates for every park district, just the park district in DuPage County, not cities, not schools, nothing else but the park districts. You can see the red arrow there shows the Elmhurst Park District's rate in comparison to other communities. We like to share this and show this because we hear, and I'm sure you do as well in the community, about why we don't have certain things at our park district or our park district facilities like other communities do. And quite frankly, this community has been deficient for decades in terms of recreational facilities as compared to other communities that I think the Park District benchmarks itself against, and I think that the city does as well. Carroll Stream, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, Naperville, Woodridge, et cetera. And so this chart kind of goes a little bit further to illustrate that. One thing we like to point out is if this referendum, so we're at about the top of the bottom third of tax rates. If this were to pass, we'd be at about the bottom of the top third. So what is being proposed is not something that would give us the highest tax rate in DuPage County of park districts or say put us off the chart. It would be up towards the top third there. And then this chart, I would imagine folks on this dais probably are more aware of this than the general public when we're doing presentations. But many folks are surprised to find that only 5 cents of every property tax dollar goes to the park district. And that's shown on the right there, obviously, and on the left there, the percentage of the property tax bill with about 3/4 going to the school district. Not at all a surprise. That's generally the case throughout most communities in DuPage County. And we have an excellent school system, and then has passed successful referendum as well to support it. And then city, park district, DuPage County library, et cetera. So this is generally very informative to residents when we're sharing the presentation. And then here on this chart, I'm sorry, let me pause for 1 second to mention, City Manager Grabowski was kind enough to let me put at each of your places this postcard with a little bit of kind of our marketing campaign and a little bit of information on the back. But most importantly, there's a QR code and a link to our website as well. And all of the information that I'm sharing tonight is on our website, including these two charts, which are obviously not super easy to read on the screen here. But I want to point out at the top, the overall project cost, as I said, is just under $90 million. The vast majority of that being the Wagner Community Center, that's just under $85 million. And at the bottom, it's a potential impact to the taxpayer. We show it in multiples of hundreds of thousands of dollars, 400, 500, 6, 8, and $1 million. And you can see the annual increase in taxes to the Park District on the right. But in addition, on our website, we have a property tax calculator. So residents are able to go in and take their property tax bill, take their EAV off the bill, plug it in, apply any exemptions, and it will tell them exactly how much it would cost them. So they're not just having to make estimates based off this chart. Close to wrapping up here, just want to again highlight again in the big picture the benefits to the community would be enhanced year-round recreation for all ages. I should mention one thing that I neglected to mention about that when I was talking about the Wagner Center. If you ask most folks in the community, and this would be a true statement, what residents make use of and are benefited by the Wagner Community Center, generally you'd say it's residents under the age of about 12 years old, and that's true because we simply don't have enough space to offer more programming. Although I do like to give the one aside that we have a very, very successful adult dance program that takes place at the Wagner Center, and I had to look this up for these presentations. The span of ages in our adult dance program runs from 22 years old to 95 years old, so I like to mention that and get that out there because it's a number we're very proud of. And for what it's worth, the 95-year-old has been in the program, I'm told, for something like 25 years, or excuse me, 21 years, which in and of itself is amazing to have danced for 21 years, but I hope that when I'm 74 years old, I say, I think I'm going to join a dance class, and then I'm going to do it for 21 years. I just think that's fantastic. But again, with a bigger center like that, not only could we address the wait list we have now, but we could expand our programming for all ages. We believe it would protect property values, provide more modern amenities, enhance the quality of life, and again, really be a historical milestone. So next steps for us in our process, we are continuing to get information out to the community. We've held a virtual Q&A back in mid-September, held one open house at the end of the month. We have 2 more open houses coming up later this month in October, and we're going to wrap up with another live Q&A at the end of the month, right before the election, to give information to folks if they need it. And then the other thing I was thinking about next steps as I'm standing before you as well. If the referendum is successful, we would very much look forward to partnering with the city as these projects would move forward on things like permits and plan reviews and potential easements that might be necessary. Again, thinking of how this would be just tremendously impactful for the entire community. And with that, I've completed my presentation. Again, Kevin and I and the Park Board, thank you very much for your attention and you're giving us this time tonight, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions from the dais? All right, well, thank you both for coming out. It's important for us to be informed and knowledgeable. Oh, Alderman Toledo, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming tonight and sharing this information. I think it's very helpful for the community and for us to understand. Since I have your undivided attention and we have other folks in the room that have been talking about a particular topic, I just would like some clarification because you might be an expert in this. Are you familiar with how CMAP quantifies or counts open and vacant green space in their municipal regional assessments? For example, is a baseball field counted in open and vacant green space? Are any outdoor park district facilities counted towards a community's open and vacant green space?
Without being 100% sure, so I'd rather be able to verify, I do think the answer is yes. I don't think that things like active but outdoor recreation areas sort of get subtracted off of acreage. You know, for example, a soccer field. A soccer field, in most respects, is only a soccer field because you paint lines on green open space. So I do believe, I'd want to verify for sure, but I do believe that open space is considered open space. Built structures different, parking lots, buildings, that kind of thing. But I do think open space is open space.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Make sure. All right. Thanks again for both of you coming out and helping educate the council and the community, and we will move on to other business. All right. And that other business is item 4 on the agenda, which is receipt of written communications from the public. We have some that have been placed on the dais here. Is there anyone in the audience that has a written communication they would like to present? And if so, please raise your hand. If you want to hand it to Clerk Tamer.
Is this the one that we posted? Okay. This is it, though. The same. It is the same? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then we will move on to public forum. One more? All right.
Thank you.
You have them take one and pass it down.
This isn't.
From Mike.
Lisa, right? Who just dropped, did you just drop this? Okay. How many pages was each of these? Because it wasn't stapled together. I just want to make sure I have this correct.
All right.
It's one document?
All right.
All right, thank you.
So don't pass it
No,
around.
yeah,
All right.
no, just making sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to public forum. Clerk Tamer, has anyone signed in for public forum this evening?
Yes, Mayor. Christy Ainge?
All right, so for public comment, please use the microphone in the back, where you know where, and state your name. Address is optional. Each person has 3 minutes so that we may allow everyone to do public comment and for the council to get on with its business. Proceed.
Hi, can you hear me?
A little louder, I think.
Hi, my name is Christy Ainge. I submitted with the written comments tonight a comparison of Elmhurst open space compared to surrounding and similar municipalities. The data submitted was taken from CMAP, Municipality Snapshots, released this past August. Many committee meetings have requested municipality comparison data related to topics of discussion. These comparisons are used by the city for many topics and should be looked at for our natural resources as well. It is very clear by the CMAP comparison that Elmhurst is near the bottom of the list when it comes to open space. When it comes to natural resources, like open space, Elmhurst is limited. We have parks, but many residents still voice wanting more parks spread all throughout Elmhurst. So it seems completely unfathomable to want to destroy one of the last remaining open spaces and natural resources that we have. Not only have residents voiced the need for more parks and open spaces, but Elmhurst has declared an essential need for the creation of open space in order to address flooding. Based on the findings of the comprehensive flood plan, and because of Elmhurst's population density and lack of open space, creating open space has been the city's strategy to reduce flooding. This need for open space justified the millions of dollars spent on land acquisitions throughout all of Elmhurst to implement stormwater improvements. Elmhurst is in need of more open space. We need as much as we can get, and we cannot afford to lose any more. So why would the city act contradictory to its own strategy and findings by Christopher Burke Engineering? The want and the need for open space all throughout Elmhurst is clear. If your opinions need to be swayed by professional recommendation, please remember the findings by our own city consultants and the implemented strategy for stormwater improvement. So this need should far outweigh the non-recurring and limited revenue that the city might make trying to sell the green space. Please reconsider the sale of the green space between 3rd and Schiller. The green space as is provides so much benefit to the city by means of stormwater management, recreation, safe passage, and sustainability. And I can answer your question because I've also looked it up. Park districts, forest preserves, sometimes golf courses count towards open space. All of the open space that was created for detention for stormwater, like in Ward 5 and 6 by Geneva, that counts towards vacant space. That's why the two are combined together in this comparison. They're both open space, but they're categorized different by CMAP.
Thank you. Mr. Tamer?
Michelle Platt.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Michelle Platt. I'm an Elmhurst resident. I have lived here for 9 years with my husband and 3 kids. Keep Elmhurst Green advocates have been attending DPZ committee, finance committee, and city council meetings for 21 months. We've outlined the benefits of the green space as it currently exists. More than 100 residents have emailed their support, encouraging you to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Elmhurst Park District. And we've had more than 1,000 residents to date who have signed our change.org petition. We are encouraged by the Illinois chapter of the Sierra Club's recent announcement naming one of our council members as a climate champion. Climate champions are leaders who share the Sierra Club's values and through their work can help make a difference for our future. One of Sierra Club's priorities is land conservation and the protection, restoration, and/or improvement of access to parks and natural areas. You know the environmental benefits of the green space, including natural stormwater mitigation, improved air quality, reduced noise pollution, protected habitats, a reduced heat island, increased carbon capture, and more. The city recently spent millions on storm mitigation, specifically in areas that were hit hardest with flooding. The purchase of green space to help with that mitigation demonstrates our awareness of the value of green space for that purpose alone. As resident Christy Ainge has shared, Elmhurst has a lower percentage of open space in relation to other suburbs, including those suburbs that are smaller in land size than Elmhurst. For that reason and more, we believe the city of Elmhurst should prioritize what little open space we have left. We urge all of our council members to vocalize your support of the green space. The covenant protecting the space expires in April 2025, but we're certain action can be taken beforehand to ensure the space remains green for future generations. Our 600 plus Facebook page members, the 100 plus residents who have sent emails, and the 1,000 residents who have signed our petition need you to lead on this issue, and we ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shelley Nicholson.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Nicholson. I live on Avon Road, right across from this green space. I have the cover sheet to the 100 emails. And I would like to say that we are submitting for public record more than 100 emails that we received from Elmhurst residents throughout the town. These emails are asking the aldermen here today to save the green space between 3rd and Schiller. These emails from the Keep Elmhurst Green group have been copied to our group, and we know that there have been many more sent to aldermen that we have not seen. In the last 2 weeks, we started a change.org petition and have had 1,000 individuals sign up so far. They're advocating to save the green space. 71% of these individuals are from Elmhurst zip codes. You can see comments and many other people who have previously lived here and relocated or have family here or have visited or remember the green space. We have more than 600 members on our Keep Elmhurst Green Facebook page. You may have seen us at the St. Patrick's Day Parade. You've seen the signs around town. We're asking people to buy their own signs, and so far we've sold almost 100 signs. We have numerous residents, including children, who've given public comment at finance committees, zoning committees, and council meetings in favor of saving the green space. And we have one letter from the Elmhurst Park District Executive Director, Mr. Rogers, stating that the Park District would be interested, if asked, in exploring some type of intergovernmental agreement with the city if this opportunity were to present itself. Tonight you've heard about the shrinking of the green space. This past July, in relation to 292 Arlington and the new development next door, you heard public comment about the shrinking tree canopy. With this shrinking tree canopy and the shrinking of our green space, we have less stormwater absorption, we have less shade, we have shrinking habitat for wildlife and pollinators, we have shrinking area for outdoor recreation and community gatherings. All of us want to connect with nature. It will improve our mental health. We are here to see that the Elmhurst residents who are suggesting enough is enough, and we would like to see your support so we don't lose the little green space that we have. Please listen to your constituents who are asking you to save the green space. Tonight we're talking about the space between Schiller and 3rd Street, and I believe there will be more push for other spaces across the city in the future. Please protect this irreplaceable space for future generations before the covenant expires in April of 2025. And I will submit this because I unclipped it.
Okay. Perfect, thank you very much.
Thank you. Clerk Tamer?
Yep. Tom Aldergott.
Altergat.
Hi, Tom Altergat, 144 South Rex. I've spoken to council before, and I've spoken to the DPC committee, DPZ, or DP zoning commission, and I was prepared to do some more remarks tonight, but as I was eating my Portillo's dinner, I decided that, well, maybe I've been talking too much. Maybe a picture would be better. So I brought some well, not as nice as those presentations by the board, but I brought a very simple representation. This white space is the lot next to my house. This black outline is the house footprint. It went from 1,800 square feet roughly to 38.
Excuse me, Mr. Altergat, just use the microphone so the people who are at home will be able to pick up. Thank you.
Sorry, is this better?
That's better.
Okay, so this is the street, Rex, and this is the backyard. And on the side, you see there's 5-foot side yard setbacks that are supposed to be unobstructed from ground to sky. So in this design, there's a basement, bedroom, thank you, and the basement bedroom has a required window well. The basement bedroom is located in this corner, and the builder threw the window well into the side yard setback. Did he choose the front? Did he choose to use this other room as a bedroom and put it in the back? No, he violated the side yard setback. That was a required window well. Then there's the optional window well. This, the builder also put in the side yard setback, and it took up 4 out of the 5 feet required for that setback. This also could have been designed in the back. It could have been designed over here, or in a nice side setback. There's a little notch on the other side. It could have put it on the side of the house, on the north side, and not be in the setback at all. The same builder, when confronted with a tree on the side of a house, the tree was located here, 95% of it was on the neighbor's yard, 5% on his yard. Instead of relocating the house or the window well on the other side of the house, he dug here and killed a 80-foot maple tree. So, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I don't think this is rocket science. And I went to Purdue, it's not even computer science, which is what I minored in. It's just logical sense that if you have constraints, work within the constraints. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Altergat.
That's all that's signed up,
All
Mayor.
right, that's the end of the list of people who did sign in for public comment. Is there anyone who did not have the opportunity to sign in that would like to make public comment this evening? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Thank you all. Are there any announcements this evening from the dais? Clerk Tamer?
I have 2. One, as clerk, early voting will start at City Hall beginning on Monday, October 21st, and will continue until Monday, November 4th. Early voting hours are weekdays 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and weekends 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. It will be here at City Hall. This year we will be across the way in the conference rooms, working better for us that way. And then also, the Youth Commission is doing CPR training for middle school kids as well as high school kids. The middle school kids one has filled up, but we still have 7 spots available for the high school one. It will be October 20th here at City Hall, Council Chambers. The high school one is 11:30 to 1:30, and sign up is on the city website, and that is free to the kids.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Other announcements? Alderman Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman Shanko and I would like to announce an annual Second Ward meeting at Fire Station 1 at 404 North York on Thursday, October 10th from 6 to 7 p.m. We encourage Second Ward residents to come out and hear from your aldermen and staff and be prepared with questions which we try to answer. My other announcement is I would like to remind the public of an event, Stories Behind the Songs, which is on Saturday, October 19th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the American Legion. The proceeds from this event benefit veterans, and we'll have 6 singer-songwriters that have come specially for this event to promote it, talk about the songs that they've written, and sing and perform those songs. Tickets are available on the Legion website. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hill. All right, we'll move on then to the consent agenda. Clerk Tamer, please read the consent agenda.
7.1, executive session meeting minutes of the Elmhurst City Council on September 16th, 2024. 7.2, minutes of the regular meeting of the Elmhurst City Council on September 16th, 2024. 7.3, accounts payable October 7th, 2024, $1,465,555.54. 7.4, referral West Avenue Crosswalk Study. 7.5, referral request to add electric and lighting to the North York Street landscape medians. 7.6, reappointment of Lori Tompos to the Veterans Commission. 7.7, reappointment of William Gardner to the Veterans Commission. 7.8, case 23, PO8, conditional use for PUD with site development allowance, 1100 South York Street, extension request. 7.9, report, case 24, P11, conditional use permits and variations, 217 East Butterfield. 7.10, report, DuPage Senior Citizens Council request for funding. 7.11, report, neighborhood traffic study, area number 6. 7.12, an ordinance granting a variation from the front yard setback requirement to the property commonly known as 630 South Washington Street, Elmhurst, Illinois. 7.13, an ordinance to ratify and approve the execution of a permanent public utility easement agreement for the property commonly known is Canine Corner Dog Park located at OS 761 Old York Road, Elmhurst, Illinois. 7.14, an ordinance waiving bid and authorizing the execution of a software as a service agreement with Tyler Technologies for enterprise resource planning software. 7.15, a resolution to approve and authorize the execution of a professional design engineering services agreement by and between Clark Deeds, Inc. and the City of Elmhurst for the 2025 Water Main Improvements Project.
Thank you, Clerk Tamer. Is there any item on the consent agenda that any alderman would like to remove, either for further discussion or to vote against? Seeing none, Clerk Tamer, please call the roll.
You need a motion.
I'm sorry, motion from Alderman Toledo, second, Alderman Udera.
Park? Aye. Udera?
Aye.
Bastido?
Aye.
Nardini?
Aye.
Brennan?
Aye.
Irby?
Aye.
Deuter?
Aye.
Barimas? Hill?
Aye.
Schenko?
Aye.
Jensen? Graham?
Aye.
Cahill?
Aye.
Toledo?
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
14 ayes, 0 nays. The consent agenda passes. On to item 8, reports and recommendations. I just have a brief report. I want to thank Chief Dufort and Lauren Wolf for conducting a successful annual Fire Department open house yesterday at Fire Station Number 2. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 items. Yes, it's finally here. Lions Candy Day will be this weekend. So Friday and Saturday, you will see Lions Club members out at various intersections and at some of the stores. So please be generous when you see us out there. And then we will be starting our budget kickoff October 21st. So after the next City Council meeting, we will have our first Committee of the Whole meeting, and then we'll continue with Committee of the Whole meetings after each council meeting, and I'm glad you're excited, Alderman Park, after each Committee of the Whole and City Council meeting and hopefully we get consideration as soon as December 2nd for the budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Item 9, is there any other business to be brought before the council this evening? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Toledo with the motion. Alderman Nudero's nodding as a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
Have to call the roll.
Hey, Mayor.
Sorry. I'm going to get this right one of these days. Clerk Tamer.
Park? Aye. Udera?
Aye.
Bastido?
Aye.
Nardini?
Aye.
Brennan?
Aye.
Irby?
Aye.
Deuter?
Aye.
Barimas? Hill?
Aye.
Schenko?
Aye.
Jensen? Graham?
Aye.
Cahill?
Aye.
Toledo?
Aye.
14 ayes, 0 nays.
Now we are adjourned. Thank you. Good night.